Okay, next up is He Who Fights with Monsters, book number 3, Liberty Adventure, written by Shirtaloon. It is 895 pages. It is $6.99. It's available on Kindle Limited. Here's the author's description. For all that Jason's new life is amazing, he is about to learn that his new power, wealth, and influence comes at a price. Riding high on success, he and his team are looking to the future, preparing themselves for the challenges to come. Nothing, however, could prepare him for the lessons his enemies have to teach. When magic is involved, the stakes can be even greater than life and death. While Jason's personal enemies make plans, the greater foes plaguing the new world, his new home, have been pushed to the brink. With one powerful card left to play, they are on a collision course with Jason and his team. With no one to help and more than their lives on the line, Jason and his companions must fight with more monsters than ever in the race to grow stronger, with an invincible enemy already anticipating them. They will learn that sometimes winning the battle is more important than surviving. So there we go. A lot of folks have already read this. This is a couple weeks old. I just happened to get to it this last week. I had an opening schedule and this took a long time. It's almost 900 pages. And so it took a good bit of time, but I enjoyed every minute of it. This is a really good action adventure story. I enjoyed the surprising story twist in the early part of the story. It gave the main character an antagonist and problems to deal with that weren't directly action oriented. And I really enjoyed that different kind of conflict that the main character is pulled into, and the fact that the consequences to that were carried throughout the entire story. I was glad to see that it just wasn't like a one-off thing, that main character is back to his same quirky, smart Alex self, but that there's actual behavioral kind of PTSD thing happening with the main character throughout the rest of the story that really impacted the way he fought and interacted with the rest of the universe. I like to see those consequences from such a major event in the main character's life, actually see them played out. I think that was really nicely well done. One of the only complaints I think other readers had, if you're reading the reviews, is probably towards the end of the story. It felt it's like the last 10-15%. The main character's arc is kind of resolved by then. And so there were a bunch of little tiny short stories and these little novella, I guess, little short stories. And it's just pop. And that's the last 10% of the series. But almost none of the people in those stories are people that you know, with except one or two. And so there are a lot of complaints in the review saying, man, the last 10%, I don't know what to do with this. And it's very much a case of just this is a serial story. You got to remember, this is a serialized story that's written over years online. It's just being collected and published. And so you're going to get some of these things where the author's man, I'm tired of writing that main story. I want to write some short stories for these other characters. And sometimes there'll be just interesting backstories for characters you have mentioned before. And sometimes there'll be setups for other storylines that have yet to be shown. And sometimes they're just going to be oh, these are random stories in this universe. And this is kind of part and parcel to this serialized system. And so that's what they are. For me, I understood what they were. But I also understand the complaints for some readers saying they don't make sense and they seem kind of random. And that's certainly the case. So it is what it is. I still had a good time with it. I give it a score of 7.8 out of 10. That's He Who Fights with Monsters, book number 3, with a score of 7.8 out of 10. That's a really good review score because I had a really good time with it.